Hello, good morning and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the Alicante region of Spain. I hope you're well wherever you are. I thought I'd take you out on a walk today to give you some updates on what's been going on for the last week. And rather than taking you to the more glamorous part of the town, perhaps around the marina with all the yachts and the fishing port and the Mediterranean Sea and all of that beauty that is on offer down there, I decided instead to bring you to where I bring our rubbish and the sort of neglected plot of land where people walk their dogs. And somehow or other I thought that is more fitting with the struggles I've been through. So life is not like a holiday when you come to move in a place like this, but it's rather more challenging. Anyway, where shall I start with my update? Excuse me, keep getting insects flying up my nostrils. So I think it was Robin Sharma who said, change is difficult at the start, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. And just over a month ago, we did the hard thing. We took a leap of faith and jumped into the unknown. And here we are now in the slightly less unknown, shall we say. But we're certainly in that very messy phase of this transition. And it's a little bit like walking through the woods. I'm getting stuck in the brambles and thickets and traps, and there's all sorts of dangers lurking, maybe wild boar, and it's hard to see where you're going. There's no path laid out for me. I'm just trying to find and feel my way through the dense woodland. And occasionally there's a clearing in the woods, and I get a chance to have a rest, to reflect and to observe the beauty of what it is we've done by coming here. And those moments are special and important, but then I have to continue my journey. And yeah, it's I'm saying this because I've had a difficult week, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that. There's actually been a lot of positive things from this week, so I'll also tell you about those. But yeah, there have been times this week when I have really struggled and felt quite low, and I've had to work hard on maintaining a good, healthy attitude to all of this. I've had to take care of my mental health. And obviously the most difficult thing about moving here has been the paperwork and trying to get ourselves officially settled here. And actually we've come quite a long way, but we've had some setbacks, and there's still quite a lot of confusion and frustration. And maybe I need to think of another quote. I think it might have been Bill Gates, but I could be wrong. And he said, we tend to overestimate what we can do in a day or a week and underestimate what we can do in a month or a year. And I think I've been guilty of that mindset. I've fallen foul of that kind of mindset myself over the last couple of weeks, because I've been impatient. I've been wanting to get things done quickly, and I've had to learn to relax and allow things to take their natural course a little bit. Allow things to be done in the pace, or allow things to be done at the speed that things tend to be done here within some of these organisations that I've been dealing with. Okay, so let's now. I'll come back to that in a moment, perhaps. But let's talk about a couple of the things. And maybe there's been two big things this week. One is on the positive side. One is on the side of one has been on the positive side. One has been difficult and challenging. So on the positive side, on Monday this week, we moved into our new apartment. So now we have a home here in Spain, and that's a good achievement. It's a massive achievement. It's a huge milestone on our journey towards becoming Spanish residents. And there were people who told us that it couldn't be done at this time of year because all the apartments are full of tourists. But we did it. We found a really nice place that we're very happy with. We also had help from friends we've made here in our walking group, and they helped us carry all our suitcases and bags from our holiday accommodation to our new accommodation. And so we had a lot of help along the way. We had help from the owner, from the estate agents, and it felt like everything was coming together, and it felt like we had lots of helping hands, and it's all good. Yeah, it's really good. And we're slowly settling into this place. It obviously takes a little time, and that's another area where I've had to work on being patient, because for much of this week we've been in our apartment that had previously been abandoned almost and neglected, and we've had to unpack all our bags, and we've had to start buying many things in order to start to turn it into our home. But we've made some good progress. It's been quite interesting, at times quite funny. We don't have a car, and so we started off walking around the town. But I don't think you can see it from here, but it's behind me. We started walking around the town, going into all little shops, trying to buy the things we need, things like ironing boards and coffee machines and cutlery and plates and glasses and pillows and all the many things that go to making a place a home. But we couldn't get everything in town, and we were struggling a little bit. So we went walking way out of town on what is a bit like a trading estate, or what would you call it? A business park maybe, but there was lots of large retail outlets, but it's on the side of a main road, a busy main road that doesn't have footpaths for pedestrians. And I bought a trolley, like a shopping trolley, to wheel along and carry all the stuff in. But the cars were racing past us, and they must have thought, what on earth are these two doing walking along this road with a trolley full of shopping? And there were times when I thought the same myself. But we had to do it. But it was tiring. So I quickly realised that I was becoming more and more physically tired, and that was having an effect on my mental health, because I was there's a relationship between the two. And so we decided we needed to change things around a little bit, and we started ordering things online. I'm just going to stop now because I've got a dog coming up to me and a person. So hold on a moment whilst I deal with this dog. Sorry about that, I just had a large, beautiful brown Labrador fussing over me, or fussing around me. So I felt I needed to stop filming whilst I spoke briefly to the dog's owner. What was I saying? Yeah, so we've started doing a lot of online shopping now, which has gone mostly well, although it has highlighted an urgent need for me to learn Spanish. I had a delivery driver phone me on my mobile this morning, and she didn't speak a word of English and she was lost. And we were on the phone and I didn't know how to understand what her problem was or how to explain to her how to get to my apartment. So I walked outside the front door, and we have I don't know what to call him, a caretaker maybe, who looks after the maintenance of the urbanisation that we live in. And he also doesn't speak English, but I just handed him my mobile and he just started talking, and he guided the delivery driver to me. And once again, I found myself relying on the kindness of strangers, and it was wonderful. And even though we couldn't speak to each other, I smiled and showed my appreciation to both the caretaker and to the delivery driver, and I got my parcel. But my goodness, I really do need to learn Spanish. And I know that sounds like I'm stating the obvious, but in Germany and when we spent time in Portugal, that was less so, because many people, or most people, speak at least some English, and so you can get by in these situations. But here in Spain, it seems to be a little different. At least that's my first impression. Anyway, so we've done a lot of shopping. We have deliveries lined up every day for the next 2 weeks, I think, with all sorts of things that we need, including an ironing board. So excuse me if my top looks creased, but not able to do any ironing yet. But all of that is gradually helping us to settle in and feel at home. And yesterday we got the internet set up at home, which is wonderful, so we're able to watch good quality television. I've even got a Spanish mobile phone now, and I've already had a couple of calls from delivery drivers, like I say, that I can't communicate with, but at least I have a Spanish phone. And that is important, because when dealing with some of the administration, when dealing with some of the administrators for these organisations I'm dealing with, they ask for a phone number, and often they won't accept a UK phone number. So that was a really important step, and I got a good deal, a good contract, got a lot of help with it, and I am very happy with that. Okay. On the less positive side, but I think even on the less positive side, I'm starting to find a way forward. So on the less positive side is health insurance, and I mentioned this last week, and sorry to mention it again, but it's going to take a while to sort this out, I think. So as I'd said last time, to get residency here in Spain, you need to have private health care for at least your first year here. At least you do if you're in my situation. It might be different if you come in as a pensioner, or someone who's got a job here, or maybe a student, I'm not sure. But for someone in my position, it seems that it is compulsory to have private insurance to cover your health needs for the first year, so that you don't burden the public healthcare system. Now, I mentioned last week that I thought I'd managed to arrange private healthcare for me, but I eventually was turned down because of the fact that I had cancer last year. So I did a lot of shopping around, and I thought I'd found a good alternative, and I spent hours reading the contracts and the terms and conditions and talking to the advisor and comparing prices between different products. And I was ready yesterday to commit to this, only to be once again refused insurance at the very last minute. And I found that frustrating. I shared my frustration with the broker and said, why couldn't you have said no at the beginning of the process? I told you right from the outset that I'd had cancer and that I needed some clarity around my pre-existing conditions. But I don't know. I had to remind myself that processes are processes. She was following the processes. She wasn't deliberately trying to be unhelpful or difficult. She was just doing her job. And okay, it turned out to be a bad customer experience for me, a really bad customer experience. But there's no point getting angry with her or with the company. You just have to take these things in your stride. But I did feel really down. So my wife made me go swimming because we have a swimming pool in our complex. And it was about 5 or 6 in the evening, and it's a lovely pool. And I decided to try and improve my swimming because my swimming technique is terrible. So I was practicing with her and getting her to try and show me how to breathe properly whilst doing the breaststroke. And I felt like I was making some progress, but the most important thing is it just made me feel happier and more content. And I had a cold shower by the side of the pool as well. And after about an hour, I saw everything very differently. Instead of feeling down and angry and frustrated and sad, I felt invigorated and ready to move on and try and solve the problem. And I actually quite enjoy solving problems. And so in some ways I'm enjoying this experience. Not always, but in some ways and at some times I enjoy the experience, because you have to be creative and resourceful and resilient, and you have to keep on learning. And I enjoy all these things. And I went back to the apartment after the swimming, and I found another option with a private insurance, and I found a possible inroad to getting the public health care. So, sorry if I'm boring you with this, but first of all, with the private insurance, I found a company that is cheaper than all the other companies I'd looked at, but their policy is really designed for temporary situations, temporary stays. It works in a way that you pay for your medical care and then claim it back afterwards. It obviously doesn't cover any pre-existing conditions, but it's also a very simple, straightforward policy where they don't seem to ask too many questions. And because you have to take it out for a whole year to get your residency, and I have an appointment the week after next to get my residency, so I need a certificate to prove that I've got this healthcare cover, then this company, for just over €700, will provide me with a 1-year policy. So that's probably what I'm going to do. It made me feel a bit frustrated that I've got to pay for this, because it's not going to cover me for cancer, and that is the thing that's most on my mind. But then I reminded myself, well, once again, this is just how it is here, but also there are many other health conditions other than cancer that I might need help with, and so maybe it's not a complete waste of time to have this insurance anyway, and it certainly provides a sort of a stopgap until I become a proper resident, until I get myself onto the public healthcare system. So I've got that lined up and ready to go, but I also started in parallel looking at the public healthcare, and what I think I've learned, what I think I might know, maybe, and this isn't yet tested or proven, but what I think I've discovered is that everyone in Spain is entitled to full health care without exception, and in fact I think it's even law that you have to have complete coverage for all your healthcare needs, which is good. But normally for public healthcare, if you're coming here as someone who's not working or not a pensioner, then you have to use private healthcare for the first year, and then you're entitled to go onto the public healthcare system. That is what I think is the case normally. However, I don't fit into that category. I'm here living off my own independent means, if you like. I don't have a job here. I'm not a pensioner. But I can't wait 1 year to get the full healthcare cover. I think that would just be too big a risk, and it would be too much of a worry for me. Here comes the tram, by the way. Let me just show you. They have fantastic trams here in the Alicante region that are free of charge. Sorry, they're not free of charge. What am I talking about? They are very cheap. So what was I saying? So public healthcare. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get proof that I have been rejected by several insurance companies for private healthcare. I'm going to try and get proof that my healthcare provider in Germany is not going to cover me for my medical needs here in Spain. And by the way, I have got emails on both of those, covering both of those things, but I think I'm probably going to need something more official, knowing how things work here, and I'll probably need to get it translated into Spanish. But nevertheless, that's what I'm going to try and do, and then I'm going to try and present that to the public healthcare organisation here. I can't remember what they're called. Maybe something like INSS. It's the Social Security Department, I think. And I hope that they will then agree to allow me to voluntarily enter into the Social Security. Here comes that dog again. Hold on a minute. And if they do, then I think I pay maybe something in the region of 60 to 80 euros a month, maybe, to cover myself on that. And then I have full, comprehensive healthcare cover here. But unfortunately, I will then be paying into both the public and the private. But eventually, maybe after 1 year, I can let the private one go and just rely on the public healthcare here, which I understand is quite good. Hang on. So, that's it. I kind of have a strategy now. I feel at times I feel a little concerned that we're just throwing money at everything at the moment. We must have spent thousands of euros in our first month here on various things. But sometimes when you take on an endeavour like this, there are a lot of setup costs, but eventually things settle down, and I'm hoping that the cost of living here will prove to be lower than where I was before. But life isn't all about money. What's more important is that I hope that eventually we have a much better quality of life here, and that it turns out to be one of the most wonderful things we've ever done in our lives. And I'm already pretty sure, not completely sure, but pretty sure we won't regret this. Even if we end up with less savings because of all this, I'm pretty sure that overall we're not going to regret having had this experience. You know, when we look back on our lives, when we're much older, I think we will have been really, really pleased that we did this. And I'm already 95% of the time, I'm already sure I have no desire to go back to anywhere we've lived before, and I'm starting to see the many wonderful things about this country and the benefits of living here. I do find myself sometimes dreaming about places I've lived before. For some reason, I think it's partly because of Facebook and things like that, but I see a lot of stuff about Bewdley, where we once lived, Stourport, where we once lived, Princess Risborough, Bonn in Germany, and Teignmouth in Devon. And so I do find myself dreaming about these places sometimes. So it's obviously playing on my mind a little bit. But I can't really say I'm homesick. And it's fantastic doing this with my wife as well. The two of us are spending much more time together than ever before, I think. And I really enjoy spending time with her and figuring out things together. We're a good team, and that helps a lot. Okay, so there you go. I think that's enough, isn't it, for one day or for 1 week. Thank you so much for taking an interest in this, for following me, for watching, for liking and commenting. I'm sorry I've been slow responding to comments. It's just been hectic here, and I just haven't had the capacity to do very much on social media or on YouTube. But I do read all the comments and I really appreciate it, and I will put aside some time, probably tomorrow, to respond to people. Okay then, so that's it. I hope you have a good day and that you're well. Look after yourselves, and I'll give you another update soon. Okay? Thank you then. Bye. Here we are back at the rubbish. Needs cleaning up around here a bit. But nowhere in this world is perfect, right? But nature, yeah, that's a different thing.